Since the dawn of time, mankind has had to fight to survive. From natural disasters that have threatened our very existence, to the numerous wars waged for man's constant fight for supremacy and dominance. Man's ability to adapt and survive has come to define our species. This fighting spirit has been carried over in sport, from gladiators fighting in ancient arenas to modern men against one another in cages. No man embodies this fighting spirit better than Randy, the Natural Couture.
I was never a fighter. I think all through school, I got maybe 3 fights. Was pushed a couple times, picked on a couple times that put me in situations where I had to fight. Managed to come out of those okay, but I was generally the kid that was smiling and got along with everybody. My dad wasn't around. Most of the time it was just my mom, and she was supportive of everything. Never missed a match, never missed a soccer game. She was at every single thing I did. Loved soccer, played soccer all the way through high school. I started skiing around that same time. That was the sport I wanted to be an Olympian in. My heroes as a kid were Franz Klammer, Jean-Claude Keely, the Mayer brothers. Those were the guys I tuned in on the TV to see what was going on in the World Cup.
Randy took it from the slopes to the mats when a friend introduced him to his true calling.
My best friend, Bobby Stevenson, his older brothers, John and David, both wrestled. And we were going to watch them wrestle at the district meet, and there was a novice division, and they entered Bobby and I in a novice division, I think for shits and giggles. I pinned a kid with a headlock. I didn't even know how to wrestle. I'd never wrestled a day in my life. I got my first bloody nose. I'm like, okay. And that was kind of my first formal introduction to being on a team and actually training in the sports in the 7th grade.
It didn't take long to realize his destiny as a warrior.
And I was at Oregon State coaching. One of my athletes plugged in a VCR tape and said, hey, you got to check this out. And it happened to be a fight that Don Fry was in. Obviously, was teammates with Don. So I was immediately intrigued and interested in the sport. And this was in 1997. I was lucky enough back then, you filled out an application. They wanted more exotic martial artists back then. And they put me on an alternate list, and later that spring, they called me up and said, hey, we got a spot in this tournament. It's only 2-week notice, but you still want to fight? And I was like, yeah, I want to fight. So they threw me in right away with their superstar at the time, which was Vitor Belfort. He pretty much annihilated everybody he faced. They said, we want you to fight him in a super fight in UFC 15. And they offered me $25,000 to do that. Well, I accepted the fight, and then I went back and said, hey, I got to take some time off. I got to spend some time with a boxing coach, or this cat's going to tear my head off. Had that fight with Vitor, and things were rolling. I mean, just like that, I was holding the belt.
What happens in Vegas is different than what most people think.
Vegas is full of a whole bunch of different pollens and spores. Everybody attributes being in Vegas and living here like their crazy weekend here. It's nothing like that. We kind of learn how to get around this epicenter of chaos. There's a ton of stuff to do here. There's amazing food here. There's great shows, tons of things to do. There's a plethora of amazing fighters that live here. It's just a great place. I love it. I made the right choice.
When not in the city, Randy loves his toys.
Hunting and outdoors and guns have been a part of my life since I was old enough to walk. I think my favorite now is still to go out and shoot my bow. Not that I don't like shooting my guns and my rifles and all that, but when I get the chance to go hunting, it's usually archery hunting.
When Randy's not playing with guns, he's playing with horsepower.
I have 2 cars, actually. I have a Challenger. They captured the 1970 Challenger perfectly with the new edition. I had the Hummer that they gave me in the first season of The Ultimate Fighter. When I sold it, I picked up the Camaro that I have now. And it's the fastest car I've ever driven. It's supercharged 427. It's been lowered. The exhaust, it's got a Hurst short shift in it. It's an amazing vehicle, very, very fun to drive. And I've already been pulled over a couple times in it. I haven't actually been written a ticket yet, so I'm pretty lucky. The choppers is something new. It wasn't until I actually met Kim and we got married that I picked up the chopper. It's a great bike. I have a Harley now that just kind of finishing some customization on.
When it comes to training and preparation, Randy's team is second to none.
Jake came to us as an intern one summer, and having a strength coach on staff was nice. It was like this luxury that I hadn't had in a long, long time.
I've been working with Randy for 4 years. Physically, he's better. He's a better athlete now than he was 4 years ago. This is the strongest Randy's ever been in any one of my camps.
Yeah, my back aches here and there, and my knees bother me now after years of putting them to the test. But I don't care. I'm determined to keep doing what I love to do, and I'm not going to let those things slow me down. Gil has been a remarkable addition with the amount of footwork, the pressure, and the combinations that he forces you to learn. Really makes huge strides and huge improvements in your boxing.
That guy is one of the hardest workers in the gym and outside the gym. He's not the type that you need to push. He pushes himself.
Neil's been with us now for going on 3 years. Neil kind of got me looking through those wrestlers' eyes again. It's the oldest combative sport on the planet for a reason.
Randy, if he fights his fight, he's gonna beat him. She just no joke. He was unstoppable like 6 months ago. And then he got a couple losses and people kind of forget about him, but he's still the same guy. He's still a killer.
Will this living legend continue to fight, or is it the end of an era?
I want to take advantage of all this other stuff that's happening in my life and take some time to make some more movies, spend some time with the other fighters and time at the gym, and I think it's time to go out on my terms, not because one of these other things happens and I have to, and so that's why I'm reasonably sure this is probably my last fight. I'm Randy Couturue on The Shoot.